The only reason why I know about the Heaviside solution to the Ferranti Effect is because of Eric Dollard. So credit goes to Eric for this. It dawns on me that people who pursue over unity or who fail to pursue it because they know it doesn't work probably overlook Oliver Heaviside's solution to the Ferranti Effect. One example of somebody who did not ignore Oliver Heaviside's example for the transatlantic oceanic telegraph cable problem is Nathan Stubblefield. If you read his patent on the Earth battery, he actually employs a bifilar wire connection throughout a circuit. One is copper, insulated with a cotton sleeve, and the other is bare iron. The iron carries the magnetic field, the iron wire, and the copper wire carries the electric field. Oliver Heaviside did the same thing. Nikola Tesla has a patent on a transformer design, which is very intriguing. It's a sandwich of 3 coils, one inside the other, like layers of an onion. The inner coil is copper. The middle layer is iron, and the topmost layer of winding is copper. Now, in a sense, maybe we could make an analogy between the iron wire in this case and the laminations of the armature of an electric motor. But be that as it may, it's kind of a weak parallelism. Be that as it may, all of these examples are very intriguingly similar to each other. Now, Oliver Heaviside was the one who came up with the term reactance in the first place. Steinmetz carried it further, and Nikola Tesla was a little blip in the middle who refused to use the commonplace nomenclature and come up with his own nomenclature and confuses everyone who wants to understand free energy. Be that as it may, Oliver Heaviside was the original guy, and he came up with the Heaviside solution to the telegrapher's problem. How to avoid the common nonsense notion of brute force with nothing but voltage. We got to increase the voltage, and that's what we do. To this day, that's all we do. We still make the same mistake. Nothing's changed. And that's why we pay through the nose, because we do things so wrong. Life could be a whole lot easier, electrically speaking, less costly. But we don't follow Oliver Heaviside's example. We refuse to. Barring any other leveraging technique, this one technique alone probably conserves against loss. And not probably, it does, because that's what it's designed to do. Magnetic losses along a copper wire are huge. But along an iron wire, let me give you an example. I did an experiment in which I didn't know about all of this stuff, but I did this experiment anyway. I wanted to see if indeed iron can carry a magnetic field and extend it, because that's what I read on lesscmf.com website about magnetic shielding. You can't. It's impossible to shield a magnetic field. All you can do is redirect it. You cannot shield against it. You cannot create a barrier against a magnetic field. All you can do is reshape it. And the sharp edges of a magnetizable substance is where the magnetic field emanates from, while the smooth surfaces do not, relatively speaking. So if you have grooves or striations on a metallic surface, the edges of those striations is where the magnetic field emanates. And there are YouTube videos to exemplify this. Somebody had this massive flat top screw turned upside down in a pail or a saucer or dish of ferro fluid. And then underneath that dish, and it was a dielectric dish, let's say it was glass, I believe it was, was a coil, an electromagnetic coil. And he revved up the magnetic field of the coil, and the ferrofluid worked its way up, crawled up the grooves of the screw. You know, we're talking a massive flat top screw. I mean, not your normal flat top screw that you would screw into a piece of wood. This kind of screw was huge. And so it was very enlarged. So the ferrofluid worked its way up along the grooves, the edge of this enlarged screw, and avoided the valleys, the smooth valleys. And it congregated eventually at the very tip, at the very tippy top of this massive flat top screw. So this was a perfect example of demonstrating where the magnetic field is located, emanating from out of a magnetizable object, made out of something like iron, for instance. So I did an experiment. This showed me that magnetic field can be extended. So I took some iron wire that I got insulated with vinyl, iron wire from Joann Fabric's fabric store. They sell it. You can use it for tying things. They usually use it for tying things like a florist might use it to tie a floral bunch of flowers together, the stems. Or a gardener might use it in the garden to tie a trailing bush up on a trellis, to hold it in place. Well, I wrapped one end around a very strong magnet. I had bought some PVC pipe and caps, kind of like 3/4 inch or 1.5 inch PVC pipe, and it was just the right size to fit snugly ring neodymium magnets. I had 9 of them, and I stacked them on a bamboo skewer, and the middle 3 I turned around, and I pushed the outer 2 groups of 3 neos into the center because they didn't want to go, right? It was repulsion. But I pushed them in against their will all the way, stuck it inside the PVC tube while I was doing this, and then put the caps on and glued them with super glue. And so I had magnetic force coming out the two in-between middle areas of the PVC pipe because of that forced repulsion. Bedini liked to do things like this, turn magnets around and force them together when they don't want to be. He did it in his little school motor design, his SSG. Anyway, I did it here. And then I wrapped moo metal, a sheet of moo metal, around the middle section of this very short length of tube. It was just a tiny little section. And the moo metal just fit. And then I glued with liquid solder the iron wire to the moo metal. And I wrapped the whole thing in bubble wrap and taped it up. And now the iron wire was something like 10 feet long. So I had my ex-girlfriend hold one end, I guess it was the moo metal end with the neo magnets, the PVC cylinder end. And then I held the other end that was just bare wire, the end of the wire. And I had a little compass, and I put the compass up to that wire 10 feet away from the source of the magnetic field, because the iron wire was simply magnetizable. It was not magnetized. It was just iron wire. And lo and behold, the compass needle pointed to the end of that 10-foot strand of wire. So I knew that iron can carry a magnetic field and extend it and reshape it according to how I wish it to be reshaped. And in this case, I had it extending 10 feet away from the source. This has nothing to do with electricity, This is a single wire technology of care. And we know from Paul Babcock that magnetism equals energy, even though the physicists and the electrodynamicists will tell you otherwise. Excuse me. Phooey to them and their hogwash idea. So I had extended energy along a single wire. I talk about Tesla's single wire transmission of power. And this isn't even longitudinal waves. This is just magnetism. on a single wire at a terminus coming out the end. Amazing. Anyway, so that taught me what I needed to know, but I have to piece it together now and make sense out of this, and I'm, slow, like all of us are. So this is a very intriguing idea in how to build a circuit. We take the circuits we're given by others, and then we see what we can do to enhance them, right? And this is a very simple technique which doesn't change the circuit at all. The circuit concept, whatever it is you're working with, is still the same circuit. You just divide your pathway into two pathways rather than one. One is iron wire and the other is copper wire. Probably both should be insulated. Now, according to Oliver Heaviside, he wrapped his copper core, his insulated copper wire, with iron ribbon or iron wire. And I suspect the ribbon was not insulated because this is the way they did things back then. The copper was always insulated and the iron was not. So this is very interesting. So you don't have to buy insulated iron wire, which is maybe hard to find. Now they do have, I know in the hardware store, zinc-plated iron wire. I used to use it a lot for my grounding because I always found that iron for bionic circuits is best, as opposed to copper. I beg to differ with Leon Ernest Eman. His biocircuitry was always done with copper wire, and I found it to be very unsettling, to say the least. And considering the electric field was being enhanced, I can see why. I don't need electricity. I need magnetism. I mean, I don't need electric field, more of that. I don't need voltage, I need magnetic field. Magnetism. So it could be that the proper way to have this bifilar wire connection in a circuit between all your connections is to simply wrap insulated copper wire with a bare iron ribbon. Just like Oliver Heaviside did it. Why do it any differently? Why change what the master has provided us? And he is a master of mathematics who applied his mastery of mathematics to electrodynamic study. And he learned a lot at our benefit if we take the trouble to pay attention to what his... Hey, it's more than a century later and we still ignore him. And then... and persecute anybody, along with ourselves, should we think these awful thoughts about free energy. Oh my God. And all we're doing is making sure we don't lose the magnetic field. I mean, you have to wonder, how do we define free energy? Well, it's energy we don't have to pay for, right? But if you're losing energy and you reclaim what you've lost through conservation, that's free energy, because you no longer have to pay for the energy you threw away. You get to use it. Oh, these people, they keep telling me, we don't like your use of the term free energy. Oh, okay. Oh, now I know why. Reclaiming the energy we threw away. We don't have to pay for it because we already did. Now we just stop throwing it away. It could be that all energy devices could be over unity if they stopped throwing away the energy they produce. And then it would be free because we already paid for it, but now we don't throw it away. We use it instead of throwing it away. I think Peter Lindemann, see, I didn't make this up. Peter Lindemann already said this. If we conserved against all energy losses, we'd automatically be over unity. It would be mild over unity, but it would still be over unity. And I have to agree. It's probably the way it works. And then if you want anything extra, like the Edwin Gray motor of Richard Hackenberger's modifications to Marvin Cole's original design, then you get extreme over unity of 300 COP or something along those lines. 294, I think it was. So that's extreme. That's pretty extreme. But they took efficiency to the ultimate, just like Nikola Tesla would have done. Ah, yes. Um, but just conserving against loss alone without anything fancy schmancy, we could probably expect a mild over unity if we if we engineered against losses, designed against losses. So I think this one suggestion alone could pay a lot of dividends, and it's so simple, and we still don't do it. Who does it? Nathan Stubblefield did it, but Nikola Tesla did it, but we don't. Oliver Heaviside did it. Who does it? This is like, old news that has been thrown away. Just like the energy we throw away, we threw away this simple little tech idea. Anyway, I haven't combed my hair in a while, so it looks kind of messy. I guess I have nothing more to say. That says a lot right there.